In the heart of northern Botswana, where the Okavango River breathes life into the land, lies Mombo, a place both beautiful and unforgiving. For much of the year, the plains stretch endlessly, a tapestry of golden grass and scattered acacia, where the horizon blurs in the midday heat. But as the distant rains swell the Okavango, the floodwaters surge forward, creeping silently across the land, transforming dust into a shimmering expanse of water. The water carves the plains into a mosaic of islands, each one a refuge and a prison for those stranded by the rising tide. These islands become fortresses, isolated by deep channels and shifting currents, cut off from the world beyond. The animals, herbivores and predators alike, find themselves marooned together, their fates entwined by the flood. Escape is impossible, survival is uncertain. In this confined world, every encounter is charged with tension. Competition for food and space intensifies, and even the smallest gesture can spark conflict. Waterholes become battlegrounds, where the desperate and the dominant meet. Every sip is a risk, every shadow a threat. Here, the drama of survival unfolds in raw, unfiltered moments. Hunters and hunted locked in a relentless contest. For years, the lions have ruled these islands with absolute authority. Their presence is felt in every shadow, their dominance etched into the land itself. Their roar is a proclamation, an ancient law that echoes across the floodplain, warning rivals and reassuring kin. The pride hunts with precision, their teamwork honed by years of shared hardship. They claim the richest hunting grounds, their power unchallenged. Other predators linger at the margins, ever watchful, forced to scavenge or steal in the shadow of the lion's supremacy. But the balance of power is delicate. A single misstep, a moment of weakness, and the hierarchy can shift in an instant. Now the winds of change sweep across Mombo. The old order trembles as new forces gather in the shadows. In the half-light a new power stirs, cunning, patient, and hungry for opportunity. A rebel force is rising. Wild dogs, united by blood and loyalty, prepare to challenge the lion's reign. The peace that once reigned is shattered. The island trembles as rival dynasties collide in a brutal struggle for supremacy. Mombo is a patchwork of territories, each fiercely defended. Every family, lion, leopard, wild dog, fights for its place, its future, its very survival. The leopards, masters of stealth, haunt the forests. They are solitary assassins, vanishing into the shadows before rivals can react. The wild dogs, bound by unbreakable ties, hunt with relentless efficiency. Their unity is their strength, their speed their weapon. The cheetahs, swift and graceful, are always on the edge, masters of speed, yet forever vulnerable to the ambitions of larger predators. The lions, once unchallenged, now sense danger on every side. Their unity is tested as threats close in. A dark army advances, rival lions and cunning hyenas, each seeking to exploit any weakness in the old regime. The coming war will test every instinct, every alliance, every ounce of strength. The struggle will push each animal to the brink, physically, mentally, and emotionally. Alliances will be forged in the crucible of battle, only to be shattered by ambition and desperation. The floodwaters have turned Mombo into a treacherous arena, where every step is fraught with peril. The battle for dominance has begun, and no creature is safe from the storm that follows. Every animal must choose. Ally with the strong, risk everything for independence, or be swept away by the tide of conflict. Blood will be spilled, and the bonds of kinship will be tested as ambition and survival collide. In this isolated world, only the strongest endure. The weak are left behind, their stories written in the mud and blood of the floodplain. The struggle for the throne will touch every family, leaving scars that will shape the destiny of Mombo for generations to come. In the heart of the savannah, beneath a sky streaked with the first light of dawn, a new force emerges. The architects of this rebellion are the hyenas, creatures long underestimated, their cunning masked by the chaos they leave in their wake. Once dismissed as mere scavengers, these hyenas have mastered the art of patience. They linger in the tall grass, eyes glinting with anticipation, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. At their helm stands a tyrannical queen, Mutiny. Her presence is unmistakable, her authority absolute. Under her command, the clan moves as a single entity, each member attuned to her will. Mutiny is ruthless, her ambition boundless. She regards the lions not as monarchs but as obstacles, rivals to be outmaneuvered and destroyed. Her vision is clear and merciless, to topple the old regime and forge a new empire, one ruled by hyena law. Her followers, driven by hunger and ambition, rally beneath her iron rule. Mutini's army surges across the plains like a living storm, their numbers swelling with every conquest. They do not hunt with the silent elegance of leopards, nor the calculated teamwork of wild dogs. Instead, they wield fear and chaos as their weapons, overwhelming all who stand in their path. Their strength lies in unity, a relentless tide of bodies and teeth. As a single, unstoppable force, they sweep over the kingdom, leaving devastation in their wake. Their patrols are ceaseless, their vigilance unyielding. No kill is safe from their reach. They rob every predator, from the swiftest cheetah to the mightiest lion, their chilling calls echoing through the night, a warning to all who would challenge their supremacy. Masters of intimidation, the hyenas use their numbers to overpower even the strongest adversaries. In the wild, strength is not always measured by size, but by the will to dominate. They harass lions, drive leopards from their hard-won meals, and terrorize wild dog packs. Under a Mutini's rule, mercy is a forgotten concept. Only victory matters. Every tactic, every maneuver is fair game in this war for dominance. A Mutini's cunning extends to her legacy. She has chosen an heir, her daughter Lasidi, to inherit her ruthless vision. Lasidi, still young but already displaying the same cold ambition, is groomed to one day command the clan. The lessons are harsh, the training relentless. Only the strongest will survive. The rise of the hyenas reshapes the very fabric of the savage kingdom. Territories once ruled by lions now lie empty, their trails disrupted, the balance of power forever altered. The old order has crumbled, replaced by a new, darker regime. The lions, once the undisputed rulers, now watch from the shadows, forced into retreat by the relentless advance of the hyena horde. Other predators must adapt or perish, their survival dependent on evasion and cunning. Within the clan, Mutiny enforces strict discipline, her army moving as one, an extension of her indomitable will. As the sun sets, Mutiny surveys her domain, her silhouette cast long across the grasslands. She is the self-proclaimed Queen of the Damned, her shadow stretching over every corner of the kingdom. The land is no longer a realm of noble hunters. It has become a kingdom of thieves, ruled by the relentless, cunning, and united hyena clan. In the shadowed heart of Mombo's ancient forests, where tangled roots and towering trees create a labyrinth of green, a silent drama unfolds beneath the dense canopy. Here a solitary queen, Pula, watches the chaos of the wild with unwavering focus, her senses sharpened by years of survival. Pula, marked by a torn ear and a tapestry of scars, is a living testament to the relentless trials of her world. Every wound tells a story of battles fought and won. She has carved out her territory with calculated precision, marking boundaries with scent and claw, patrolling her domain with the vigilance of a ruler who knows that every inch must be defended. For years, Pula has been a master of stealth, her body low and sinewy as she glides through the grass, every muscle tuned for the perfect ambush. She reads the wind, calculates the distance, and waits for the precise moment to strike. But time is a silent adversary. Pula's once fluid movements are now tinged with fatigue, her breath heavier, her body slower to recover from the rigors of the hunt. The relentless pressure from Mutini's hyenas gnaws at her strength. Their laughter echoes through the trees, a constant reminder that danger is never far. These cunning scavengers prowl the borders of her realm, ever watchful for a misstep, ready to descend upon any sign of weakness and rob her of her hard-won prey. Yet Pula's struggle is not for herself alone. Her every action is driven by a deeper instinct, the fierce, unyielding love of a mother. Her daughter, Mochidi, is the last of her litter, a single fragile life in a world that shows no mercy. Mochidi is Pula's legacy, the only hope for her bloodline to endure in this unforgiving kingdom. Pula's maternal instincts are a force of nature. She shields her cub with her body, her every sense attuned to the slightest hint of danger. She must remain ever vigilant, for the threats are many and merciless. But the gravest danger comes from within her own kind. Blue Eyes, the cub's father, is a formidable male, his power matched only by his unpredictability. In the wild, even a father can become a threat. He has killed his own offspring before, driven by the primal urge to eliminate rivals and assert his dominance. Pula's vigilance never wavers. She positions herself between Mochidi and every threat, her body a living shield against the dangers that stalk the night. But as her strength fades, the burden of survival grows heavier. Each hunt is a gamble, each day a test of endurance. The hyenas close in, their numbers overwhelming. Pula is forced to abandon precious kills, her energy wasted, her hunger deepening. Each day her reserves dwindle. The forest that once offered sanctuary now feels like a cage. To survive, Pula faces a choice no mother should ever make. With a heart heavy with sorrow, she is forced to leave Mochidi behind, her instincts torn between self-preservation and maternal devotion. Mochidi, now alone, faces a world brimming with peril. The forest is both cradle and crucible. The young leopardess must rely on instinct and the scant lessons her mother managed to teach. She is an orphan, a vulnerable target for every predator in Mombo. Each day is a battle for survival. Mochidi's journey is fraught with hardship. She must learn to hunt, to hide, to read the language of the wild. Her first attempts are clumsy, her movements betraying her inexperience. Hunger is a constant companion. She stumbles, both literally and figuratively, as she navigates the complexities of her new reality. Mochidi learns to freeze at the scent of hyena, to melt into the shadows, to wait out the threat with patience beyond her years. But within her, the fire of her mother's spirit burns bright. Instinct and determination drive her forward. After countless failures, Mochidi finally succeeds. A pangolin falls to her claws. The taste of victory is bittersweet, but it is a turning point. This small triumph is a lifeline, a sign that she can endure, that she can adapt. With each lesson learned, Mochidi grows stronger, more cunning. She begins to understand the rhythms of the forest, the patterns of prey and predator alike. Mochidi, the abandoned heir, embarks on a journey fraught with danger and discovery. In the wild, only the most adaptable survive, and her mother's legacy lives on in every step she takes toward the throne that waits in the shadows. The hyena uprising has struck the lions with devastating force, fracturing the delicate balance of power on the savanna. The Matata Pride, once a formidable coalition of lionesses and their young, now lies in disarray. Its members scattered, their bonds stretched thin by loss and fear. At the heart of this fractured family stands Sega, a lioness marked by her half-tail, a symbol of battles survived and resilience earned. She surveys the empty plains, haunted by memories of kin lost and territory surrendered. Yet Sega's spirit is unbroken. With unwavering resolve, she rallies her remaining sisters, forging a new beginning from the ashes of defeat. Each dawn they move as one, silent, vigilant, and determined to reclaim what was stolen. The lionesses train relentlessly, honing their skills through playfights and coordinated hunts. Sega's vision is clear: to forge a sisterhood of warriors, united in purpose and fierce in their defense of the pride's future. Every day brings new threats. Sega's pride is anchored by 6 precious cubs, each one a fragile hope for the dynasty's survival. The lionesses form a living shield, ever watchful for danger lurking in the grass. The cubs, still unsteady on their paws, huddle close to their mothers. But the savannah is unforgiving. Blue Eyes, a notorious cannibalistic leopard, prowls the periphery, his presence a constant shadow over the pride's fragile peace. In a moment of terror, Blue Eyes strikes, snatching a cub from the safety of the pride. The lioness's anguished roars echo across the plains, a brutal reminder that every day is a battle for survival. Grief lingers, but Saga's determination only hardens. In time, she gives birth to 2 robust sons, nurturing them with fierce devotion. The pride's social structure is rebuilt, cubs at the center, protected by a ring of vigilant lionesses. Saga knows the fate of her sons. As they grow, they will one day be driven out, forced to wander and carve their own destinies. The pride's legacy, however, rests with the daughters, lionesses who will remain, strengthening the matriarchal core. The pride's social fabric is woven by these females, mothers, sisters, daughters, each one playing a vital role in hunting, nurturing, and defending the group. Their unity is their greatest weapon. Beyond Saga's territory, the Western Pride faces its own trials. Led by the imposing King Ramagata and his brother, they too have been displaced by the relentless advance of rival predators. Forced from their ancestral lands, the Western Pride crosses into Matata territory. The meeting is tense. 2 prides, each wary, circling, testing the boundaries of trust and necessity. An uneasy alliance forms. Ramagata, powerful and imposing, offers protection in exchange for acceptance. The lionesses weigh the risks, knowing that the presence of strong males can mean both safety and new challenges. The Western Pride's queens soon give birth to 6 cubs, 5 of them female. These young lionesses represent the future, their playful energy a sign of hope amid uncertainty. For a brief moment, the combined prides stand united, their numbers and strength a formidable barrier against the ever-present hyena threat. But beneath the surface, suspicion festers. Saga senses Ramagata's ambitions. His movements between the prides too calculated, his promises too smooth. The truth emerges. Ramagata seeks to rule both prides, uniting them under his command to create the largest coalition in the kingdom. His ambition threatens the delicate social order the lionesses have fought to restore. Outraged by his deception, Saga and her sisters confront the males. Their unity is unbreakable, their loyalty to each other absolute. In a bold act of defiance, the lionesses drive Ramagata and his brother from the pride, reclaiming their autonomy and the right to shape their own destiny. Saga stands tall, her gaze unwavering. She will not be manipulated or controlled. Her pride, rebuilt through hardship and loss, is hers to lead. With her sisters and daughters at her side, Saga guides the pride into a new era, one defined by resilience, unity, and the unbreakable will of a lioness determined to reclaim her kingdom. In the heart of the savannah, where the grass whispers with the secrets of survival, one group stands apart, a beacon of unity and resilience amid the turmoil. These are the wild dogs of the Makulu pack, a family whose strength lies not in numbers but in the unbreakable bonds that tie them together. Each member of the pack is bound by a code of loyalty, their lives intertwined through shared hunts, mutual care, and the silent language of trust. In this world, every gesture, every nuzzle, every glance cements the unity that is their greatest weapon. Yet even the most steadfast families are not immune to hardship. The Makulu pack has suffered under the relentless pressure of the hyena regime. Their aging alpha, Mogatla, once a symbol of strength and wisdom, now bears the weight of years and the scars of countless battles. The hyenas, led by the cunning Mamamotse, have become a constant threat. Ambushes are frequent, and the wild dogs are forced to abandon precious kills, their hard-won meals snatched away in moments of chaos. Territory shrinks, and hunger gnaws at the edges of the pack's resolve. Mogatla's reign, once marked by triumph and stability, now teeters on the brink. The pack senses the change. Anxiety flickers in their eyes as they huddle close, seeking comfort in one another. The need for new leadership grows urgent, for only fresh energy and vision can guide them through the storm. From the heart of the pack, a new figure rises. Kitso, once Mogatla's protégé, now steps forward. His eyes are sharp, his movements purposeful. The pack's future, uncertain and fraught with danger, now rests on his young shoulders. Kitso is not just a leader by birthright, he is a leader by merit. Intelligent and observant, he reads the land and the moods of his pack with equal skill. He knows that brute force alone cannot win this war. Strategy and unity must be their shield. With quiet determination, Kitso takes command. He rebuilds morale, reinforcing the bonds of loyalty and trust. Every hunt is planned with precision, every movement coordinated. The pack, once battered and uncertain, now moves as one, each member a vital part of a living, breathing whole. Kitso's leadership is defined by protection and discipline. He stands at the forefront, shielding the vulnerable and inspiring the strong. Under his guidance, the Makulu pack transforms from a group of survivors into a disciplined force, ready to challenge the hyena oppressors. Kitso knows that a direct confrontation with the hyena clan would be disastrous. Instead, he adopts the tactics of a guerrilla commander, swift, unpredictable, and always thinking several steps ahead. The Makulu pack becomes a shadow in the grass, launching daring raids on hyena patrols, testing their defenses, and vanishing before a counterattack can be mounted. Each strike is calculated to sow confusion and reclaim lost ground, no matter how small. These relentless attacks begin to wear down the hyena army's morale. The wild dogs reclaim patches of territory, their confidence growing with every successful maneuver. Kitso's leadership gives the pack a renewed sense of purpose, a belief that they can shape their own destiny. The turning point comes when the pack corners Princess Lasedi, the hyena heir. In a display of courage and coordination, they force her to retreat, sending a clear message to the hyena clan. The Makulu pack is no longer prey. They are a force to be reckoned with. But perhaps Kitso's greatest achievement is not measured in battles won, but in lives protected. Under his vigilant watch, the pack successfully raises a new litter of 8 pups, a rare triumph in such perilous times. These pups, playful and curious, are more than just the next generation. They are a living symbol of hope. Their survival secures the future of the Makulu pack and inspires the entire animal community, proving that even in the darkest hours, unity and resilience can prevail. The Makulu pack, under Kitso's command, is no longer defined by loss. They are architects of their own fate, fighting back, forging new paths, and building a future where loyalty and family are the greatest strengths of all. Not all who ventured into Mombo's wild heart were prepared for the relentless struggle that awaited. For many, the promise of abundance was a siren call, one that masked the true dangers lurking beneath the surface. Dikeledi, a vigilant cheetah mother, was drawn to this island by the lure of plentiful prey. She arrived with her 3 cubs, including her daring eldest, Tsepo, seeking a sanctuary where she could nurture and teach her young. But the land's bounty was fleeting. As the Okavango's floodwaters surged, the lush plains became a labyrinth of isolated islands. What once seemed a paradise quickly transformed into a prison, cutting Dikeledi and her cubs off from escape and exposing them to new perils. Cheetahs are built for speed and stealth in open country, but here the terrain was fragmented and the competition fierce. Dikeledi's every hunt was a gamble, her slender frame and her cubs' inexperience no match for the brute force of Mamamotsi's hyenas, who prowled the edges, waiting to steal any hard-won meal. The lions, too, were ever present, silent shadows in the tall grass, their golden eyes fixed on the vulnerable family. Dikeledi was forced to split her focus. Every moment spent hunting was a moment her cubs were exposed. She adapted, teaching her cubs to move with caution, to freeze at the faintest scent of danger, and to use the cover of reeds and termite mounds. Every lesson was a matter of life and death, as the family navigated a world where they were outnumbered and outmatched. The greatest test came when the Western pride swept through their territory. In a blur of panic, the cheetahs scattered. Tsepo, the eldest, was separated from his mother and siblings, left to face the wild alone. For Dikeledi, the loss was crushing. In this unforgiving kingdom, a lone cub is easy prey for hyenas, leopards, and even opportunistic birds of prey. The odds of survival were slim. Yet Dikeledi pressed on. She shielded her remaining cubs, moving them under cover at dawn and dusk, hiding them in dense thickets during the heat of day, and doubling back to search for Tsepo whenever she could. Against all odds, Tsepo survived. He relied on the skills his mother had drilled into him, stalking silently, hiding from larger predators, and seizing fleeting opportunities to hunt small prey. After days of separation, he found his way back, guided by scent and the distant calls of his family. The reunion was brief but profound, a moment of relief in a world that offered little mercy. Dikeledi knew the dangers had not passed, the family could not linger, the territory was too hostile, the predators too numerous. Their ordeal had forged them into survivors. Dikeledi, ever watchful, led her cubs through the maze of flooded channels and predator-marked trails, always searching for the safest path. In a final, desperate push, she guided her family across the shallows, braving crocodile-infested waters and the threat of ambush. At last, they reached the edge of the floodplain, battered, wiser, but alive. They left behind the savage kingdom, carrying with them the scars and the lessons of survival against all odds. From a distance, Mamot's empire appeared unbreakable, a formidable force ruling the savannah with iron discipline. But beneath the surface, the clan's unity was beginning to unravel, torn apart by the very ambitions that had once made it strong. At the heart of this turmoil was Princess Lasedi, Mamot's chosen successor. Raised in privilege, Lasedi carried herself with an air of invincibility, her every gesture radiating entitlement. As she matured, Lasedi's hunger for power grew insatiable. She claimed the choicest portions of every kill, her jaws closing around the best cuts while the warriors who risked their lives for the clan gnawed on scraps. The resentment among her followers simmered, their eyes filled with silent accusation. Lasedi's dominance was enforced not by respect, but by intimidation. She lashed out at subordinates, her attacks swift and merciless, leaving wounds both physical and psychological. The clan's hierarchy, once a source of order, became a tool for her cruelty. Unlike her mother, who balanced fear with calculated strength, Lasedi ruled with unchecked aggression. Her reign inspired no loyalty, only obedience born of fear. The clan's spirit, once united by shared struggle, began to fracture under her oppressive rule. The hyenas who had once fought side by side against the lions now found themselves cowed by their own leader. Lasedi's tyranny echoed the very oppression they had overthrown, and the clan's unity was replaced by suspicion and fear. The bonds of kinship and cooperation, so vital in the wild, began to erode. Hyenas who once coordinated hunts now eyed each other warily, their trust shattered by Lasedi's relentless self-interest. Tension crackled through the ranks. Small disputes over food or status escalated into violent confrontations. The clan, once a single entity, began to splinter into uneasy factions. The breaking point came when a low-ranking hyena, gaunt from too many missed meals, finally snapped. With a snarl, it challenged Lasedi's authority, refusing to yield its meager share. The act was small, but its impact was seismic. Like a spark in dry grass, defiance spread. Others, emboldened by the challenge, began to question Lasedi's right to rule. Open conflict erupted. Skirmishes broke out across the territory as old grudges surfaced and new alliances formed. The clan's once cohesive structure dissolved into chaos. Factions formed around rival leaders, each vying for control. The savannah, echoed with the sounds of battle cries and desperate yelps as the hyena empire tore itself apart from within. The violence escalated into a brutal civil war. Hyena turned on hyena, the very tactics once used against their enemies now unleashed upon their own kin. Lasidi, once untouchable, found herself isolated. The circle of trust she had shattered now closed in around her, her former allies transformed into bitter adversaries. Surrounded by snarling faces and bared teeth, Lasidi finally saw the consequences of her arrogance. The hatred she had sown now threatened to consume her. The empire, once held together by brutal unity, was now fractured by betrayal and rebellion. The cost of internal strife was steep. Blood stained the earth where the clan had once stood united. As the dust settled, the reign of the princess ended not with triumph, but with violence and defeat. The hyena empire, undone by its own internal conflicts, stood as a stark reminder of the dangers of unchecked ambition and fractured loyalty. The hyena civil war erupted with a ferocity that stunned even the most hardened predators of the savannah. In a matter of hours, the once unified clan was torn apart by a storm of violence and betrayal. Lasidi, the proud and imperious princess, found herself encircled by the very clan she had ruled with an iron paw. The air crackled with tension as her former followers, eyes blazing with resentment, closed in. The mutiny reached its savage crescendo when the rebels, united by shared grievances, cornered Lasidi beneath the gnarled branches of a fever tree. There was no escape, no mercy. Stripped of her authority, Lasidi was met not with deference, but with cold indifference and open hostility. The bonds of loyalty had been shattered beyond repair. In a brutal, unrelenting assault, the rebels unleashed their fury. The savannah echoed with the sounds of violence as Lasidi was overwhelmed, her reign ending in a frenzy of teeth and claws. The rebels sealed their betrayal with a final, chilling act. The aftermath was as shocking as the mutiny itself. Lasadi's severed head, a gruesome trophy, was carried through the heart of the territory and laid at the feet of her mother, the formidable Queen Mamamotse. The message was unmistakable. Her dynasty had been violently and irrevocably overthrown. The era of Mamamotse's bloodline was finished. For Mamamotse, the sight of her daughter's lifeless head was the ultimate humiliation. The queen who had once commanded fear now faced the bitter reality of her shattered legacy. Her grand vision of an unassailable empire, built on dominance and intimidation, crumbled in a single, devastating night. The army she had forged through fear and force now turned on itself, tearing apart the very foundation of her power. Mamamotse was left a queen in name only. Her loyalists scattered, her authority reduced to ashes. The vacuum of power unleashed chaos. The once mighty clan devolved into a mob, each hyena vying for dominance in the ruins of their former order. The hyena clan, once the most formidable force in Mombo, was now a scattered, disoriented rabble, their unity lost to the winds. Mamotse, stripped of her power and followers, wandered the grasslands. A general without an army, her reign ended not by rivals, but by her own kin. The collapse of the hyena regime did not go unnoticed. Across the plains, sharp-eyed rivals watched the unfolding chaos with growing interest. Kitso, the wild dog alpha, and his disciplined pack had waited patiently, biding their time for a moment of weakness. Now, with the hyenas in utter disarray, the wild dogs seized their chance, moving with precision and purpose. Kitso led his pack in a swift, calculated assault, their formation tight, their intent unmistakable. They found the broken queen, Mamotse, alone and exposed, her former strength a distant memory. The wild dogs, once terrorized by her relentless patrols, now turned the tables. Their vengeance was swift and merciless. They drove her out, banishing the former tyrant from the heartland she had fought so ruthlessly to control. Mamotse, once the most feared predator in Mombo, was now a solitary exile, her empire reduced to memory and dust. The fall of the hyena dynasty sent ripples through the savage kingdom. Every creature sensed the shift, the sudden absence of a dominant force. With the dawn, the oppressive shadow that had loomed over the land began to fade. The savannah breathed easier, the tension lifting at last. The relentless patrols of the hyena enforcers vanished, leaving the grasslands eerily peaceful. The balance of power was shattered, but for the first time in seasons, no single group claimed the throne. The kingdom was open, its future uncertain. The end of the hyena reign left a void, a power vacuum that beckoned to every ambitious predator. The old powers of the kingdom, lions, leopards, and elephants, began to reclaim the land, their presence a reminder of the ever-shifting tides of dominance. The war was over. In the golden light of dawn, a new era beckoned, one shaped by the survivors and by the wild, unyielding spirit of the savage kingdom. As the first light of dawn crept across the battered savannah, the once mighty hyena empire lay in tatters. The echoes of their dominance faded into the morning mist, leaving the land open and uncertain. The silence was broken only by the cautious return of life, herds and predators alike, emerging from the shadows, drawn by the promise of a new beginning. The Makulu pack, led by the cunning and relentless Kitso, moved swiftly to claim the heart of the kingdom. Their unity, forged in the crucible of conflict, was unbreakable. Each member, from the youngest pup to the seasoned hunters, played a role in their rise. They patrolled their new territory with vigilance, marking boundaries and sending clear signals to any would-be challengers. In the golden grasslands, the pack's discipline and cooperation became their greatest strengths. Their hunts were orchestrated with precision, each member anticipating the next move, their loyalty to one another unwavering. The Makalu pack's presence brought a new order to the plains, their dominance undisputed, their future secure beneath the endless sky. Beneath the shade of acacia trees, the next generation thrived. Pups tumbled and played, watched over by vigilant adults. The legacy of the Makulu pack was assured, their bloodline woven into the fabric of the savannah. Deep within the emerald embrace of the forest, another story unfolded. Mochidi, the leopard cub once left to the mercy of the wild, had endured the harshest trials. Alone, she learned the secrets of the shadows, her senses sharpened by hunger and fear. Seasons passed, and Mochidi transformed. No longer the frightened orphan, she became a master of stealth and patience. Her golden coat blended seamlessly with the dappled light, her movements silent as the wind. She reclaimed her mother's territory, each tree and trail a memory of her lineage. With every mark and every hunt, Mochidi asserted her rule. Her solitary reign was not one of loneliness, but of quiet strength, a testament to the resilience that defined her bloodline. The forest, once a place of peril, now echoed with the silent authority of its new queen. The leopard dynasty, thought lost, was reborn in the shadows, its future secured by Mochidi's indomitable spirit. Across the open plains the lions stirred. The Matata pride, led by the formidable Sega, emerged from the turmoil stronger than ever. Their golden coats glowed in the morning sun, a symbol of hope and renewal. Sega's leadership had been tested by betrayal and war. She and her sisterhood had cast out the false king, Ramogata, proving that unity and courage could overcome even the deepest wounds. Together they weathered the storms, their bonds forged in adversity, yet the pride's future demanded more. In the final days of upheaval, a new male appeared, powerful, unscarred by past betrayals. His arrival was met with wary eyes, but his strength and resolve soon earned the pride's acceptance. Sega, ever wise, welcomed him as her equal. Together they forged a partnership that would define the new era. The pride, once fractured, now stood united, its members bound by loyalty and the promise of protection. Under the watchful gaze of their new king and queen, the Matata pride reclaimed their place atop the kingdom. Their roars echoed across the plains, a declaration of strength and stability. The savannah, once torn by conflict, now pulsed with the rhythm of life restored. The wild dogs ruled the open plains with swift precision. The leopard reigned in the silent forests, her presence felt but rarely seen, and the lions, regal and unchallenged, watched over the kingdom from their sunlit vantage points. Across the island of Mombo, a fragile peace settled. The scars of war remained, but the land breathed anew. Each dynasty, shaped by struggle and survival, found its place in the tapestry of the wild. In the end, the kingdom was restored, not by a single ruler, but by the balance struck between power, loyalty, and the unyielding will to endure. Beneath the grandeur of the ruling dynasties, a quieter drama unfolds, one that shapes the very lifeblood of the revitalized kingdom. The scavengers, often overlooked but never absent, move through the shadows and open spaces, orchestrating a delicate balance between life and death. As the sun climbs, a procession of white-backed vultures spirals high above the plains, their keen eyes scanning every inch for opportunity. With effortless grace, they descend upon the remains of last night's hunt, their arrival signaled by a flurry of wings and impatient calls. They are joined by marabou storks, their solemn postures concealing a ruthless efficiency. Together they strip bone from flesh, leaving nothing to waste. On the ground, a band of black-backed jackals waits at the edge of the feast. Patient and wary, they dart in with calculated speed, snatching morsels between the talons and beaks of larger rivals. Their intelligence is their weapon, knowing when to challenge, when to yield, and when to vanish into the grass. Nearby, a clan of brown hyenas emerges from the thickets, their shaggy coats bristling in the morning light. They are the kingdom's silent custodians, traveling great distances in search of sustenance. With powerful jaws, they crack bones that even lions leave behind, extracting every last calorie from the land. Each day brings new challenges. The scavengers must read the landscape, sense the movements of predators, and anticipate the patterns of the herds. A single misstep, a moment too slow, a wrong calculation, can mean the difference between feast and famine. Yet their persistence shapes the savanna, ensuring that no resource is wasted, no life taken in vain. Their world is one of constant negotiation. At a carcass, a hierarchy forms, enforced by size, wit, and sheer audacity. Vultures bicker and jostle, jackals slink and snatch, hyenas assert their dominance with a low, guttural growl. But beneath the competition is a silent collaboration. Each species plays its part, breaking down the remains and returning vital nutrients to the soil. As dusk falls, the scavengers melt back into the landscape. The plains are swept clean, the cycle of life renewed. In the grand tapestry of the kingdom, their role is humble but indispensable. They are the unsung architects of survival, maintaining the balance, quietly ensuring that life in the wild endures. Beneath the open sky, where predators and prey wage their daily contest, another world exists, one woven from shadows, whispers, and the intricate alliances of the lesser known. Here, survival is not always a matter of brute strength, but of cunning, cooperation, and sometimes betrayal. As twilight falls, a slender civet slinks through the undergrowth, its eyes glint with intelligence, nose twitching at the faintest scent of opportunity. In the hush of the evening, it pauses beside a burrow, not its own, but that of a honey badger. Their relationship is uneasy, a delicate truce forged over time. The civet waits patiently, knowing the badger's powerful claws will soon unearth a hive of wild bees. When the badger finally cracks the earth, wild honey spills out, and, in the chaos, the civet darts in, grabbing its share before slipping away. For both, this alliance is born of necessity. Together, they succeed where alone they might fail. Elsewhere, in the tangled grasses, a mongoose family circles an agitated hornbill. The bird calls out, sharp and insistent, as it spots a snake gliding through the stalks. The mongoose reacts instantly, Years of shared vigilance have taught these unlikely partners to trust one another's alarm calls. In a flash, the snake is surrounded and driven off. The hornbill, ever watchful, resumes its hunt for insects, while the mongooses scatter, grateful for another day's reprieve. But not all partnerships are built on trust. In the cool of pre-dawn, a genet moves silently along a fallen log. It keeps a wary distance from a serval cat, both drawn to the scurrying mice that dart between shadows. For now, a fragile truce holds. The genet claims the trees, the serval the ground. Yet, a single misstep could shatter this peace, turning partners into rivals in an instant. These secret alliances and simmering rivalries ripple through the kingdom, shaping destinies in ways unseen by the dominant predators. Each hidden pact, each moment of wary cooperation, knits the ecosystem tighter. They are the threads that make the fabric of the wild strong and endlessly surprising. As night deepens, these lesser-known players vanish into darkness, their stories carried on the wind. In the kingdom's quiet corners, the drama of the unseen continues, proof that in the wild, survival is a game of shadows, strategy, and silent allegiance. As dawn breaks over the savannah, the world is transformed, not by tooth or claw, but by the unseen hand of the changing seasons. The once lush grasslands, emerald and abundant, now shimmer with gold as the dry season tightens its grip. Waterholes shrink to muddy remnants. The air grows thick with dust and the promise of hardship hangs heavy. For every creature, the rules of survival are rewritten. Lion prides, once scattered across the plentiful plains, are forced closer together, competition sharpening with each passing day. The matriarchs patrol shrinking territories, their roars echoing across cracked earth, a warning and a plea. Prey animals, driven by thirst, risk perilous journeys to the last remaining pools, where danger lurks beneath every ripple. Hyenas, opportunistic as ever, adapt with ruthless efficiency. Their bonds grow tighter, their hunts more coordinated. At dusk, they shadow weakened herds, exploiting exhaustion and fear. Yet, scarcity breeds tension. Fights erupt among clan members, alliances fray, and the line between leader and challenger blurs as hunger gnaws at loyalty. In the trees, baboon troops descend to the ground, their usual diet of fruit replaced by roots and insects. The cleverest among them forge new paths, mapping hidden springs and coaxing sustenance from the harshest corners. The old and the young cling to the group's wisdom, each day a lesson in adaptation. Meanwhile, the tiniest survivors, termites and beetles, become architects of resilience. Their underground cities expand, offering refuge to more than just their own kind. Reptiles, rodents, and even birds take shelter in these cool, dark labyrinths, the boundaries between species blurring in the struggle to endure. When the sky finally breaks and the rains return, the transformation is swift and total. Seeds, dormant for months, burst into life. Rivers swell, territories are redrawn, and the balance of power shifts once more. Some leaders fall, others rise, and the cycle begins anew. In this eternal contest, it is not the strongest who survive, but those who can read the rhythm of the seasons and bend with its will. Here on the wild stage, every drought and deluge, every whisper of wind shapes destinies. The struggle is relentless, but so too is the will to endure. For in the kingdom of the wild, the greatest force of all is nature itself. As the sun surrenders to the horizon, a new realm awakens, one ruled by shadows and silence. The savannah, so fierce and exposed by day, becomes a world of whispers after dusk. Here the balance of power shifts once again, governed by the senses sharpened for darkness. Leopards, masters of stealth, slip through the undergrowth like living ghosts. Their rosetted coats dissolve into the dappled moonlight, and their padded paws make no sound on the brittle grass. With patience honed by countless hungry nights, they stalk the treetops and riverbanks, their emerald eyes glinting with anticipation. One misstep from a careless antelope, one moment's hesitation, and the night claims another secret. Far from the open plains, the African civet and the elusive serval emerge. Their movements are measured, methodical, a constant search for rodents, frogs, and insects. These smaller predators, often overlooked, play a quiet but vital role. By keeping prey populations in check, they prevent the outbreaks of disease that could devastate the land when the rains return. But it is the lions, especially the nomadic males and restless subadults, who find new opportunities beneath the cover of darkness. Their roars are more frequent, their hunts more daring. Night blurs the boundaries of territory. Rival prides edge closer, drawn by the promise of vulnerable prey clustered near the last waterholes. Under starlight, alliances are tested, and even the mightiest are not immune to ambush. Owls, with their uncanny silence and piercing gaze, sweep low over the savannah. Their talons claim mice and lizards, but their presence also signals the health of the ecosystem. Each call and each kill is a thread in the fabric of the night. Meanwhile, the hyenas, their laughter a chilling chorus, take full advantage of the darkness. Their keen hearing and acute sense of smell make them the ultimate opportunists, able to find carcasses hidden to all others. Yet even they must tread carefully. The night belongs to no single hunter, and every shadow may conceal a rival or a threat. For the prey, the night is a crucible of fear and resilience. Herds cluster together, relying on the vigilance of the many. Ears twitch at the faintest rustle, nostrils flare at the scent of danger. Survival, once a daylight endeavor, becomes a test of endurance until dawn. As the stars wheel overhead and the first hints of light touch the horizon, the balance resets. Some will not see the sunrise, but their absence nourishes the living. In this eternal nocturnal ballet, every predator and every prey shapes the destiny of the wild. Here, in the darkness, the true architects of balance are revealed, silent, relentless, and ever watchful. In the heart of the wild, survival is not just a contest of strength or stealth. It is a symphony of communication, woven through every moment, every movement. Here, language is far more than words. It is a mosaic of signals, songs, and silent codes, crafted by evolution and necessity. As dawn breaks over the savannah, a herd of impala stands alert. Without a sound, one flicks its tail, a subtle warning that ripples through the group. Ears prick, bodies tense. The herd shifts as one, a living tapestry of vigilance, each member reading the signals of its neighbors. This silent dialogue is their first line of defense, a code that can mean the difference between life and death. In the distance, elephants gather at a waterhole. Their low-frequency rumbles travel for miles beneath the ground, inaudible to most but unmistakable to others of their kind. Through these seismic calls, matriarchs coordinate movements, warn of danger, and even comfort the young. It is a language of giants, ancient and enduring, connecting families across the vast African landscape. Above, a flock of oxpeckers flits between the backs of grazing buffalo. Their sharp, staccato calls are more than idle chatter. They are alarms broadcasting the approach of predators. The buffalo, in turn, tolerate these noisy passengers, recognizing their role as guardians in exchange for a meal of parasites. Among the thickets, vervet monkeys raise a sudden chorus of barks and screams. But listen closely, the tone and cadence shift with the threat. A leopard in the grass triggers a different call than an eagle overhead. Each variation is understood instantly, not just within the troop, but by antelope, birds, and baboons nearby. Through this shared vocabulary, the savannah's inhabitants form a network of mutual alert, transcending species boundaries. Yet not all communication is meant to be heard. The cheetah, master of the sprint, relies on body language, a subtle twitch of the tail, a low posture in the grass, to coordinate with her cubs during a hunt. No sound betrays their presence to watchful ears. Even the predators have their codes. Lions, before a coordinated hunt, brush their heads together, reinforcing bonds and synchronizing intent with a touch or a rumble. Hyenas mark their territories with scent, leaving invisible messages for rivals and kin alike. Insects, too, are part of this grand conversation. The rhythmic drumming of termites signals the colony to action, while fireflies paint the night with pulses of light, each flash a message, each pattern a potential mate or warning. These complex methods of communication, honed by countless generations, are the unseen threads binding the wild together. They shape alliances, avert disaster, and orchestrate the eternal dance of predator and prey. In the language of survival, every gesture, every note, every scent is a testament to nature's ingenuity, a silent story told anew with every rising sun.